All right there. How we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin, and tonight we are finishing our Testament series. This is part 3 of our Testament Retrospective. We're going to be coming up for, we're going to be starting in, I can't believe how long it's been, actually, but we're going to be starting off tonight with 2008 Formation of Damnation, and then through to Titans of Creation, which was released in 2020. 5 years already. I can't believe it. And so we're talking about the New Testament. And then when the new album comes out, I'll be reviewing it when I get it in the post, basically. But we'll talk about the new album when we get to it. But I've got a little sneak preview for you. So we started off in 1987. Then we did part 2 where we did the 90s, which tends to be a wilderness period for thrash bands of Testament's, of their age, their league. And I think when you look at the 90s output of any of your favourite thrash bands, I challenge you to hold it up against Testament's. You know, when everyone else was splitting up, putting out their worst albums, Testament were putting out arguably their best material and certainly their most challenging. They certainly didn't take the easy route during that time, and they completely embraced the underground and went heavier. As a brief recap, so we ended part 2 with the original lineup reforming, and that was documented in the live DVD, Live in London. I've got a DVD over there, actually. I'll grab it in a minute. Live in London, sold out show with 2 drummers. You had the original drummer, Louis. What's the guy's name? I have to quickly. You had John Tempesta and Louis splitting the drums. Louis Clemente, yeah. So, and then, so the bands started gigging off and on, did a bit of touring. Bit by bit, obviously, with Chuck Billy recovering from cancer, the band doing a tour with the original lineup. Bit by bit, things come together. And then in 2008, we finally got the Formation of Damnation on Nuclear Blast Records. Now, I knew Testament had a new album coming out. And for some reason, this was a bit of a funny period in my life, actually. I was going through a lot. And I knew it was coming down the pipeline at some point, but I didn't realise it was actually out. So, at the time, I worked in Warren Street in London, which is just a 10-15 minute walk away from Tottenham Court Road. And I would basically walk to Tottenham Court Road, and on my lunch break, I would kind of cut through some back lanes. I remember there was these really sort of posh restaurants. Not posh, like as in like Michelin star, but they were like sort of boutique-y, quirky cafe kind of restaurants. And I remember there was this Indian restaurant, and in the doorway was a picture of Mick Jagger with the owner. So like Mick Jagger's eating here. I walked past Sean Pertwee at one point. You would see sort of celebrities walking around this street, and there were certain shops that would all have like celebrities that had shopped there or eaten there, and so I would cut through that, go into the HMV in that would be in Oxford Street, and then I'd make my way back down to Tottenham Court Road. In the Dominion Theatre, We Will Rock You was still there at the time, and I basically used to mooch around record shops, and often I would walk, especially in the HMV, there would always be like not always, but often there would be a signing session or a gig. And I remember walking in there one day, and Billy Bragg and Katie Tunstall were both there with acoustic guitars, just playing. They did a couple of different songs. And I remember Katie Tunstall did Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie on her own. And didn't particularly care. Still don't for either of them, but to see them for free for a couple of songs was pretty cool. I had worse lunch breaks. But I'll get to the point, ladies and gents. There's this massive Virgin record store. I think it was about 3 floors, and it had everything. And I just walked into this Virgin mega store, and there's a sign. There's the new record. You know, often you would have these display. You have the artwork, a big cardboard cutout with copies of the album, and there was the special edition on the first two shelves, and then like standard CD, like that sort of thing on the rest. Testament upstairs, signing copies of the new album, and I was like, oh, I knew it was coming, but I didn't realise it was out. And I was a bit like, oh, I don't know, because I was, again, it was a bit of a poxy time for me. I was like, oh, can I get it right? It's like, Testament are there, and they're signing albums. What the fuck is wrong with you? Do it. And I think this was like $16.99 as well, because it was like a special edition, comes with a DVD and everything. Fuck was wrong with me? Anyway, so I went and got it, and I met Testament, shook all their hands. And there you go. There's my signed edition. And yeah, it was great shaking all of their hands, but I got to shake Chuck Billy's hand. The guy is huge. His hand is like a bunch of bananas. His wedding ring would fit round your knob. You know, it was like, how we doing, mate? It's like, boom. And yeah, and this was basically the soundtrack for the next couple of months. What was pretty good as well, I mean, it was just before summer, and this came with a DVD which basically played the album with the, you know, like you get on YouTube now, you get like lyric videos. It's basically the whole album as one big long lyric video, but it's pretty cool, and there's a bit of a making of and all the rest of it. But yeah, phenomenal album. Not a return to form, because Testament never lost form. There was a couple of on-off years with activity, and you know, they did the First Strike Still Deadly, where they re-recorded material from the first two albums. They obviously did the live album in London. They were releasing a lot of compilations at the time. I don't know if they were releasing it. A lot of record labels were releasing a lot of compilations at the time, and there was a bit of sporadic touring. And yeah, it just felt really good to have the band back. And I saw them on this tour as well at Shepherd's Bush Empire. And yeah, it just felt great having Testament back in the world, basically. And this is kind of like the band's, not like a, the band hadn't done an album in 9 years, so it was just boom, here's a new album, you know. So it wasn't like it did mark a new era, but it wasn't a return to form. So, but it did mark a new era of the band, and it is the beginning of a winning streak that the band have been on ever since. So there's a spoiler for you. What's great about the album? It's basically everything that the band had done in the 80s, everything that the band had done in their heavier years in the 90s, and they've basically just and even with more experimental albums like The Ritual, they've just combined everything, all the elements of their sound have just come together. What doesn't work has been dropped. What does work has been mixed and used to its full capacity. And the band are now fully comfortable in their sound, in all the elements of any direction it can go. Testament now a fully formed Testament, and they can pretty much do whatever they want. And basically all four of these albums going forward are them slightly leaning in different directions of their sounds whenever it suits them. They basically, the song takes them wherever it wants to take them, basically. So opening with a bit of an intro track, and then we get into More That Meets the Eye. Staple in the band's live set today. Whoa, you know, as soon as that riff kicks in, Chuck Billy does the whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, it just works live. It's got that chugging riff when it does kick in. It's got a great chorus. Excuse me. And then the rest of the album just carries on, really. You've got The Evil Has Landed. The Formation of Damnation. Evil Has Landed is a bit of a mid-pace one. The Formation of Damnation, the title track, is a good thrasher. That's normally quite regular in the set as well today. But you've got great songs like The Persecuted Won't Forget. Henchman Ride. It feels like classic Testament of the first like 3-4 albums, with the heaviness of The Gathering and Low, but with a bit of a more modern sheen. This is the nuclear blast modern sounds that a lot of people are kind of criticising at the moment. They're basically saying that we're getting all these old thrash bands, and Nuclear Blast are signing them, sticking them in the studio of Andy Sneap. There's the Andy Sneap sound. And it's like, yeah, there is an Andy Sneap sound, and people like, you know, and Andy Sneap's like the most in-demand metal producer in the world, and it's for a reason, and all the best bands are using him. So yeah, of course, it's like, how is that a bad thing? But yeah, but a lot of people say there's like a bit of a clinical modern sheen. Whatever, yeah, and but yeah, this is I guess this kind of falls into that. But this is 2008. I mean, this is, I can't believe how bloody old this has got already. I still feels new, but yeah, not a return to form. That is a return to form. Just the new era starts here. Oh, right, I didn't even go through the lineup, did I? So, as I was saying, in 2005, you had the Live in London DVD, and you had the original lineup. This is 4/5 of that original lineup. When I say original lineup, I mean the first 4 or 5 albums. So, the Legacy. So you've got Chuck Billy, as always, on vocals, Eric Peterson on guitars, Alex Skolnick back. This is his first studio album since since The Ritual? He wasn't on Low, was he? No, yeah, it must be the first one since The Ritual. I said Eric Peterson if I didn't. So obviously, yeah, you've got Chuck Billy and Eric Peterson as always. Alex Skolnick, first studio album since The Ritual. He did the Live in London album. And yeah, Greg Christian back on bass. His first one since did he do Low? I can't remember now. But let's a quick look. This isn't cooperating with me. Yeah. Oh no. Oh. Yes, he was on Low. So there you go. Greg Christian's first album since Low. And now on drums we have the mighty Paul Bostoff. And at this point Paul was drumming for everyone. Obviously Paul Bostoff is the mainly known as the drummer from Slayer. He did the first 2 Forbidden albums before that. He did do Exodus's shovel-headed Kill Machine album, and then he jumped ship and with Testament. Can't remember what he did after that, but eventually he ended up back in Slayer. And yeah, fantastic album, great tour. Testament are back, and yeah, with Andy Sneap at the helm, doing the recording, engineering, and mixing. But it was also self-produced by the band. Couple of more years go by, and then in 2012 we get Dark Roots of the Earth. Now this is a special album for me. For about 10 years I was writing for various websites and magazines, but the first one, the one that gave me my first big break, was Music Trespass. The editor-in-chief Dan Devour taught me everything about writing, about photography, interview techniques, everything. I owe a lot to Dan Devour. Shout out to him and shout out to Music Trespass. And I've met some of my musical heroes because of him. And yeah, Music Trespass is still going. He's still out and about, getting photos with everyone and interviewing people and doing PR and all the stuff that he does. And yeah, but it all started for me with musictrespass.com. I expressed to a friend that I wanted to start writing reviews. I want to get into writing. And he just said, I know someone who's launching a new online magazine. I'll put you in contact with him. And I had a quick chat with him online. And he went, here's your first assignment. Boom. Sent me an email. Couldn't believe it. The new Testament album. It's not out for another 3 weeks. Yeah. Review this. Fucking couldn't believe it. It was my first review. And yeah, I got the job, but you know, I couldn't have got a better first job, you know, a first test to have really. So yeah, I remember downloading that album like it was, you know, this hidden treasure. Again, 3 weeks before it was released. I remember listening to it in the car on the way to work, and listening to it for a good couple of days, and then did that first review. So yeah, this is a sentimental album for me, and I've got this over here. This was like a shareholding scheme. I can't remember what it was, but you somehow bought shares in the song, although I don't actually own any. I'm not getting royalties from it. I can't sell my shares. I don't really get what it means, but I've somehow, I don't know what it is. Somehow got kind of part 1 millionth ownership of the song. I don't know, but I've got a really cool art print there. A really nice art print of the album cover, and I got handwritten lyrics by Chuck Billy. And basically, I just got a couple of pictures, and it was the New York Rock Exchange, so I got the logo of the thing. I basically just got it framed, and that's there. I would go and get it, but I'm not gonna. Tell you what, I've got some pretty cool stuff all over this place. If you get me to 1,000 subscribers, that's your reward. I will do a tour of the Nightmare Cabin. Only one person in the audience, one subscriber, has seen the inside of this. Even Luke from Maidencast hasn't been in the Nightmare Cabin, or 2 people, but they know who they are. So yeah, there you go. Smash that like, smash that subscribe, share. I'm way behind on subscribers. I should be well over 1,000 by now, even if I say so myself. Anyway, let's crack on. Dark Roots of the Earth picks up where Formation of Damnation picks up where Formation of Damnation left off. There we go. This time as well, we have got Gene Hoglan on drums. Now, apparently Gene Hoglan does drum on the album, but he didn't contribute to any of the songs. Kind of the songs were already written and finished when he came along. He just went and just blasted away. But who cares? You know what I mean? Like, he's going to leave a mark. Yet again, we've got Andy Sneap mixing and recording and all the rest of it. Interestingly enough as well, Steve Setro Souza of Exodus fame, and obviously the singer in Legacy, wrote a bunch of lyrics for a load of songs on this, actually, but a good chunk of the songs on this, and he also did 2 songs on this. He's done a few since as well, so just keep that in mind. Opening up with Rise Up. A lot of the songs on this album are quite simple and straightforward, but that's a sort of, it was kind of like, it's like not very challenging or whatever, but it's like, no, but they're good, memorable, solid songs. You know, Testament don't have to reinvent the wheel every album. They're Testament. They sound like them. Testament sounds like Testament. They don't sound like anyone else. No one else sounds like them. Can't they just write songs, you know? So it's very much in the vein of the first album, just carries on the way it is. This one's a bit tighter though. This one's only 9 tracks. Rise Up is a great opener and a great song to play live. It's a bit like, it's become Testament's Metal Gods. It's normally about 2-3 songs in. When I say rise up, you say war. Rise up. Whoa. You know, it's a great crowd participation track. And just opens the album really nicely. Native Blood, we've just mentioned. Again, that awesome that melody during the chorus with that blast beat underneath it, with that awesome chorus. It's just classic thrash. It's classic Testament. American Hate. Oh, Dark Roots of the Earth is a bit more doomy, a bit more in vein of it's just a slower, darker song that builds up. True American Hate is a good sort of chuggy, dun, 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 you know. And yeah, I'm trying to think really. Oh, Cold Embrace is really good. We go back to the ballads on that one. Again, really cool atmospheric song. Man Kills Mankind, I think, is still in the same vein of that as well. And yeah, again, you get a documentary DVD with this edition, and you get a couple of bonus tracks as well. You get a Dragon Attack by Queen, Animal Magnetism by Scorpions, but the one you want, ladies and gents, is the awesome cover of Iron Maiden's Power Slave. Testament make that song their own. Next up, we've got 2016's. Oh no, stay there 1 sec. Live DVD. This is on the. I'm not sure exactly when it was released, but it is on the Dark Roots of the Earth tour. Really well filmed. Sounds awesome. I think you get a CD with it as well. Yep. So you get a DVD or a Blu-ray. I don't know. It's probably a DVD because a Blu-ray will have that blue, unless that. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, it is a DVD. Yeah, so you get a DVD and then the same set, 2 CDs. You get a booklet there in a nice still case. Looks awesome, sounds awesome. Great set list, especially for the period that we're in. I don't like knowing the set list, so I don't know how you are. You can look it up if you want to know, but it's a good balance of the newer material with classic material, basically. Yeah, well worth getting. Right, next up, Brotherhood of the Snake, 2016. I think this is all the same artwork as well, actually. Let's have a quick, because we've got like a kind of like a running theme here, in terms of it's like they've got their team, they've struck gold, and like, you know, we're sticking with what works. Who did the artwork for Formation of Damnation? Because the artwork is great on all 4 of these albums. Who is it? Artwork, cover art. Oh, cover concept. Yeah, Iliran Kantor, I think that is. Let's have a look at him. Let's see what he's done. But yeah, before we get into that, so this is really cool. Brotherhood of the Snake, and if you so obviously Dark Roots of the Earth. Chuck Billy's always spoke about lyrically. Testament have kind of been a little bit of everything, really, haven't they? There's normally a bit of mythology in there. There's a bit of Chuck Billy's into his environmental stuff and spirituality, one with nature and all that, and obviously talking about, you know, in the 80s he was talking about pollution and, you know, and let's have a look. I'm just going through the Testament. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is the same guy. He's done everything, even the new album. And hey, why mess with what? Well, no, don't break what. Don't fix what isn't broken. You know. So here you've got the apocalypse, and that's really cool. The some sort of pagan thing going on there, and in this album and the one after it, Chuck Billy starts looking into like sort of conspiracy theories and cults, and yeah, this is the if you look, this is people with like a shear, and they're holding up the skin of a snake, bit like what they do with the street parades with a dragon. It's like a puppet. It's a thing over the top of them, but they're holding things up and making it move. It's some sort of cult that worships a snake, and this is like a hood that they hold up during some sort of weird ritual that they do. What's the Pale King? Is the Pale King about the artwork's all cool all through these? I think so Brotherhood of the Snake is about cult. Is the Pale King Lovecraft, or is it Arthur Mackin? Let's quickly look up the Pale King. I'm thinking obviously the Crimson King as well, but Pale King. Oh, there's the David Foster Wallace. I'm guessing it might be about that. Okay, I was thinking it was someone like Arthur Mackin or Lovecraft or something like that. So I'll have to look deeper into it. Seven Seals is a really good... Pale King's a really good song, by the way. That's what was making me think about it. But Seven Seals is a good one. Another one about the apocalypse. Blackjack. This was a funny album, actually, because at the time I remember feeling a bit underwhelmed. Because basically the band were going, oh, this is going to be... Basically, Chuck Billy was going, The Gathering is my favourite album. I want to recreate the energy that we had on that. Just a quick note, Gene Hoglan is still drumming in the band at this point, but Greg Christian has left the band and Steve DiGiorgio has joined the band. Obviously now we've got Def's rhythm section, their best rhythm section, arguably. Gene and Steve played together on individual thought patterns. Although Steve wasn't on the Symbolic album, he was on the demos, and then it gets a bit... No, Gene wasn't on Sound of Perseverance, was he? So yeah, the individual thought patterns rhythm section, basically, you've got here. Steve DiGiorgio has been in Testament before. Gene Hoglan has been in Testament before, but they've never been in Testament together. And they have been up until a point. So yeah, you get this album and the next album, basically. But anyway... I digress, as usual. Chuck Billy basically pushed that this is going to be Gathering Part 2. We're going back to The Gathering. That's my favourite album. I want to do The Gathering again. And they played The Gathering in full at this point as well. Around this time, Formation of Damnation, I forget. I actually saw them twice. I saw them opening for Judas Priest. And off the back of that tour, they did a headline show in Islington Academy where they played the first two albums in full. And then... in a festival, they did the New Order and the Gathering in full, and I'm saving with jealousy on that one. I'd love to see the Gathering done in full. So he was like, "Yeah, this is gonna be the Gathering," and then it weren't. And that's not that the album's bad. I'm expecting the Gathering Part 2. I'm expecting something as good as the Gathering, and it's not as good as the Gathering. That don't mean it's bad. It's a good album on its own. There was a big underwhelming. It was a big thing of being underwhelmed when this album come out because it wasn't The Gathering Part 2. But that's not the album's fault. The band hyped it that way. So once the dust has settled and listening to this album for this video, this album's really good. It's a lot better than what I remember it. And listen to this album on its own terms without the fucking Gathering overshadowing it. That wasn't fair. They shouldn't have done that. It's a good album and it stands up pretty well on its own. Forget the Gathering hype. And it's basically part 3 of a winning streak. Saw them on this tour as well. Saw them on the last tour actually. Me and Luke from Maidencast, there was this venue inside the O2 Arena. So it wasn't the O2, it was inside the O2 Arena. It was a bowling alley that the lights would go out and all the bowling alleys would glow in the dark. And this place was the best place in the world, I swear. And there was like there was a bar in this, so there's a bowling alley that was all glow in the dark bowling alley, and then there was this bar that was done up like a western, like a cowboy, Wild West thing going on. The tables that you sort of stood at were just these big barrels, and there was stalls, and it had really good selection of beer. And there was just this stage there. And Luke had said like he'd come here a couple of times to watch tribute bands. And fucking Testament were there. It was great. It was really small. It held a lot of people, but it was really small, if that makes sense. And I was like, this is the best venue ever. I am only ever coming here. I want every band to play here. I want to come here for the rest of my life. And we went there a couple of months later and it's shut. Couldn't believe it. And you know what's funny? Stamping Ground were in the audience. You know, we've just done a retrospective of Stamping Ground. Yeah, there was like 3 of them. Yeah, there was definitely Mobs, definitely Scott Atkins and Adam from Stamping Ground was there. I don't know if Aid was there or not. And it was like me and Luke from Maidencast and Stamping Ground watching Testament. And Stamping Ground, the guys from Stamping Ground were getting more and more pissed as the gig was. It was really funny. But anyway, Saw him at the Forum as well. I can't remember what I think I've seen Testament about 6 times now, and it's all kind of melding together. But 6 times since the Formation of Damnation has come out, I've seen them. So, right, let's crack on because I'm rambling. Brotherhood of the Snake, and then in 2020 we get the Titans of Creation, and I've got a special edition to show off. I forked out for the all singing, all dancing edition. How cool is that? So look, goes, and then you get this 3D print thing, and then you get a booklet, basically just a massive CD booklet with all your lyrics and band photos. Let's make sure that's still plugged in. Let's see if there's anything good in here. I think you get liner notes in this as well. Yeah, so you get like a bit of a write up for every song, which is pretty cool. Who did the thing though? I think it might be like an interview or something. Yeah, liner notes by Jackie Dousa. I hope I've pronounced her name right. Yeah, basically about what the lyrics are and the themes and whatnot. Let's see if there's any cool artwork. And yeah, Titans of Creation. So it's got a bit of like a Greek mythology thing going on there, I guess. Got a nice white swirly vinyl. And you get the album on CD as well, vinyl and CD. So yeah, nice little box set, and you get the best of both worlds because you get it on vinyl and CD, and it's a swirly white, nice looking vinyl. Do you get a DVD with it? No. Right. Yeah. So there's that. The all singing, all dancing edition. And because I'm really sad, I even bought it again on CD because this Japanese edition comes with a live album. And I love a live album, so I had to get it, basically. Yeah, live in Tokyo, 2017. Ooh. 2017. There you go. See that? So let's get into the review. Right, Titans of Creation. Pretty much where we left off, really. So me and Luke saw Testament in the Forum. Literally the week before lockdowns were announced, and Chuck Billy got COVID whilst in Europe. We saw songs played from this album the first time they were played ever, and I don't actually think the album was out just yet. I think the gig was something like on the Thursday or the Wednesday, and the album came out on the Friday, sort of thing. So I think it was like, I think only a single had come out at that point. So they opened with a few, I think they opened with Over the Wall, played the song that was out, maybe they played another, and then they went, oh, this is like a new song that's come out today. The video had come out that day or something like that. And it was the first time they'd played it ever. Stuff like that. It was really cool. Anyway. Children of the Next Level. It's vintage Testament, my two favourite, it's basically, you know what you're getting. Ishtar's Gate is a cool sort of doomy, not doomy, but a sort of slow, dark, atmospheric, that sort of builds up sort of song. But the two for me are Dream Deceiver. I love the chorus of that. Dream Deceiver. And then Night of the Witch as well. I think it's fantastic. And again, this is classic 80s Testament with the modern sonic sound. shall we say. And yeah, and during these 4 albums, this is Testament, both at their most solid and at their most flexible with what they can do, because they're comfortable in their own skin at this point. They've spent, what was it, 9 albums just refining their sound and redefining it again and again. Add something new to the mix, refine it. Add more to the mix, refine it. Do more. Experiment with, go heavier, go darker, go this, go weird and experimental, go fiddly, technical and widdly. What doesn't work, drop it. What does work, keep that in the itinerary. And now the band and what all the experiment that Chuck Billy's done with his voice. The guy can sing like a ballad. He can roar and do a death metal song. He can do everything in between, and everyone else can do everything in between. Eric Peterson at this point as well. He's got a black metal side project, Dragon Lord. So they're still they're taking influences from everything and just putting it all into the pot. And they can kind of do anything at this point. There's a little bit of something for everyone for Testament. Just like Rob Halford said with Judas Priest, we can be your painkiller, we can be your turbo lover. Whatever your metal preference, we've got a song for you. And that's the way Testament are going now. But they keep that modern sonic crunch. And yeah, like I say, all the elements of the band's sound are just melded together in these 4 albums, and they can kind of push things in any direction. They can lean and emphasize on any part of their sound that they want. Again, they can go full on dark and death metal if they want. They can go do a ballad. They can do like Dream Deceiver. They can go back to the classic 80s and do like just classic heavy metal. They can do whatever they want. And for my money, everyone bangs on about the big 4. If it was the big 5, I would say, again, it's the big 4, not the best 4. Keep making that distinction. The record sales don't lie. So if there is going to be a big 5, it's going to be Testament. You might prefer Exodus, and that's fair enough. But Exodus and Testament tour together. Testament is the headliner because they're the ones that sell, But if you're going to go into that anyway, yeah, for my money, it would be Testament. If you slot the big 4 out of it, I would go Testament, Dark Angel, and Death Angel. Always get the 2 muddled up, but I think Death Angel's best material has been since they've reformed. I don't know, but yeah, Testament are one of my favourites, and this is a amazing back catalogue. And that's pretty much it. We're coming up to modern day. It is the 30th of September 2025 at the time of recording this. So in 10 days, we have got the new Testament album, Para Bellum. And I've heard it. I've managed to... I didn't ask for it, but I got sent a... not me personally. They sent out. I've still got a couple of old contacts, which every now and then, if something I fancy comes in, I take it. I have a little look and at my old account, and lo and behold, the New Testament album's there. I've listened to it once, and it's awesome. My first impression is this is going to be, if anything, it's going to be a new standard setter for the band. But that's based on one listen. It's just an initial reaction. But I did really, really enjoy it. I'm going to listen to it a few more times over the next 10 days. And when my copy turns up in the post, I'll do an in-depth song-by-song review when it turns up. So that's something to look forward to in the next 10 days. So that's it. We've reached the end of the retrospective. Let's do a quick buying guide, shall we? So if you are new to the band, where do you start? Right. There's 2 ways you can go about this. You can go with the classic material. Therefore, you cannot go wrong with any of the first 4 albums. It kind of starts off heavy. It's always been melodic, but heavier. And it gets more palatable as it goes on. So I would say the classic material is the classic material. Testament is here because of the first 4 albums. Everyone's going to have their favourite. Normally what they jump on. But for my money, you need the New Order. No, sorry. The Legacy. Start with the Legacy. Then you've got to get the Gathering. Now, start with the Legacy and the Gathering. And then depending on your preference and what you listen to. If you like your 80s thrash, carry on with the first 4 albums and make your way up to the Gathering. If you like the Gathering, next up you want to get Low. Where's that? Yeah, you want to get Low and Demonic. So start there, and then whatever your preference is, carry on. Yeah, if you start with New Order, start with the Legacy and the Gathering, and depending on what you prefer, carry on with that era of the band. Then definitely get the new stuff. Anything off any of the first 4 albums, I would say no. Any of them are good. There isn't a wrong answer. I personally prefer Formation of Damnation and Dark Roots of the Earth, but that's not a takedown of Titans of Creation and Brotherhood of the Snake in any way. There isn't a wrong answer on the last 4 albums. So yeah, start with Legacy and Gathering, then maybe get couple of the later albums, and then just fill the gaps in as you go along. I think is your best bet with the buying guide, and then definitely check out the new album. You are in for a treat, guys, and I'm looking forward to reviewing that when it comes out. So I'll be doing more stuff before then, but definitely check this channel around the 10th of October, because I'll be doing an in-depth review of Para Bellum. Right, we made it. On to the next one. Thanks as always, everyone. Thanks for watching. If this is your if you've made it to the end and this is the first time you've checked out the channel, there's hundreds of videos. Go back and look in the library. Check out some playlists. All my bands I put together in a playlist. And yeah, help us out. Give us a share. Give us one of them. Subscribe. Get me up to 1,000, and I'll give you a tour of the Cabin of Nightmares. Right. Catch you later, folks. All the best.